Hi, Melissa. I'm so glad you could make it to our second session today. How have things been since our first session last week?
I've been okay. I had two panic attacks in the last 2 days. I've been feeling really anxious and worried it's going to happen again. I wasn't able to sleep last night, and my boyfriend had to stay home from work to make sure I felt safe.
Thank you for sharing that information with me, Melissa. Did you by chance complete your panic attack record that I'm having you complete after each panic attack?
I did it for yesterday's attack, but I didn't do it for the day before. I really thought about doing it, but I was worried I was going to have another panic attack just thinking about the first one. It all just feels like too much sometimes, Charlotte.
I'm completely understanding of this concern, Melissa. It can feel really difficult to monitor your own emotional experience, and it can be really anxiety inducing to have to evaluate and think about something that causes you so much stress.
Thanks for understanding.
Yeah, of course. So let's go ahead and take a look at your panic attack record. I know that you shared it with me. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull it up in my email. I'm opening it right now. Let me know if you can see it.
I can see it.
Okay, great. So it looks like the panic attack occurred on October 1st. It looks like it started at 7:30 p.m. You were on a date with your boyfriend. The maximum fear you felt was a 7. And so I see that you endorsed chest pain, heart racing, shortness of breath, fear of losing control, sweating, and feelings of unreality. The thoughts you were having were, I'm going to die. I don't want my boyfriend to live without me. And you held on to him really tightly as a behavior that you used. So, how did it feel to do this panic attack record?
Really weird, to be honest, and I'm not sure if I like it. I'm not used to being so specific and mindful after a panic attack.
Can you think of why I may want to ask you to do something like this in the immediate moments after a panic attack versus, you just kind of explaining it to me through your own language days later?
It breaks down the specifics of what happened.
Exactly. So it's really helpful for me to see in the immediate moments after a panic attack what you were feeling and what your symptoms were. If you didn't fill out this form, I bet it would have been really much more difficult for you to pinpoint the specifics of what the maximum fear was. And it would have been more difficult for you to describe it days later, considering these panic attacks that are occurring are not happening, for a long period of time. They're lasting, just like 5 to 10 minutes.
What was the question again, Charlotte?
Yeah, so basically, I was just talking to you about the importance
It's
of,
just triggering, though. It's just triggering.
yeah, I understand. And all I ask is that you give it a chance to do your best. So, why don't you tell me what exactly happened yesterday?
Well, my boyfriend surprised me with an impromptu date at a sushi place I really like because he knew I was having a hard week at work and I was caught completely off guard. I wanted to do my best for him since he thought I was doing better with my agoraphobia, but the restaurant seemed so small and so crowded. Once I saw the crowded space, my fear just set in, and we talked last session about how when my fear sets in, I become so afraid of the fear, I just allow it to consume me. I started sweating so much on my hands and my face, and everyone was staring at me, everyone in the whole restaurant. I was struggling just to breathe, and I knew I was going to die. I ran for the closest escape route I could find before I died right there in the sushi place.
This sounds like a really stressful experience for you, Melissa. What made you feel like you were going to die?
My head was telling me I wasn't going to be able to tolerate it. This was finally going to be the panic attack that killed me. I just knew it. And was going to be in front of my loving boyfriend at his favorite restaurant, a place we love together. Just perfect.
Melissa, based on what you just described, it sounds like your thoughts are playing a really large role in whether or not your panic attacks take hold. Does that sound correct?
I guess so. I mean, once my thoughts start spiraling into negativity, I just feel like I lose total control over myself. No control.
Interesting. So I'd like to take some time to reflect to you that we all have errors in our thinking when we become anxious. So for some of us, when our friends don't text back for a couple of hours, we think they hate us or they're mad at us or that we did something wrong. When in reality, maybe they just weren't near their phone, right? And for others, when our school course load makes us feel like it's just too much, that we're just too stressed, our thoughts may convince us that maybe we should drop out or that we deserve to fail. I'm wondering if you can think of any negative thoughts that you've nearly convinced yourself of when you have felt really anxious.
I mean, when you put it that way, I can think of so many.
Yeah, I'm sure. And at times, this is something I myself battle with as well. Anxiety could really negatively affect anyone if you don't challenge the thoughts properly in the moment. So when we have these distorted thoughts, we believe that maybe, just maybe, we could survive this distressing experience if we perceive the danger as something that's probable, as something that's really worthy of our attention. That if we spend so much time being aware of this problem or this threat, that we won't die from it. But we have to spend so much energy exerting our anxiety and fear over it.
I can definitely resonate with that. I always brace myself for danger, and that's when I start panicking.
Right. And so our anxiety leads us to judge threatening events as being more likely and more threatening than they actually really are. Does this idea make sense to you?
Kinda.
Okay, so here's what I'd like us to do. Instead of you allowing your anxiety to treat your thoughts as facts, like you saying, I knew I was going to die, which sounds like a fact, we're going to instead treat our anxious thoughts as hypotheses or guesses, something that we need to investigate before we make a conclusion about. What do you think of that?
It sounds really hard, Charlotte. I don't know if I'll always be able to remember that.
It will totally take practice, but you have to be patient with yourself through the process.
I'll try.
Great. So I just want to explain to you that the two biggest thought errors that we experience, especially individuals with panic disorder, are risk and valence errors. So risk errors encourage us to jump to conclusions when we're anxious, and our thoughts tell us that these negative events are probable when in fact they're very unlikely to occur. Can you think of events that you have felt were sure that were going to happen when you panicked, only to find out in the end that they did not happen at all?
Well, I mean, I guess when I decided I was going to die in that restaurant yesterday, I definitely didn't die. I'm still here. But I always believe it could happen. And leaving my boyfriend alone in this world with everything that's going on right now, it makes me so devastated and so anxious.
Why do you think you could die?
Well, while I'm in the panic attacks, they're just so painful and so scary. I'm waiting for the day that my chest pains get so severe that my heart literally explodes and I literally die.
So, based on what we know about how our anxious thoughts make us believe things that aren't true, does that thought process sound like an overestimation to you?
Logically, I guess so, but it still feels like an option to me. I mean, how can we be sure it won't ever really happen?
Well, how many times have you died from a panic attack?
Charlotte. I mean, wow, never, I guess. Never.
Yeah. And so for homework this week, I'd really like for you to start identifying your anxious thoughts and the thoughts that lead you into these panic attacks. I want us to examine the evidence related to some of our overestimated beliefs and instead to generate alternative explanations for why these thoughts might be happening. So I'm asking that you please continue to fill out the panic attack record. And that's going to be your homework for this week. Do you have any questions or concerns for me?
No, Charlotte, you're really good.
Oh, I thank you, Melissa.
Thanks so much for your help.
Yeah, of course. So I'll see you next week at the same time. And feel
Okay,
free to email me if you have any additional questions or
I
concerns.
will. Thanks so
Great.
much.
You're so welcome. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.